What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you had a good weekend. This is my first video since the halving has taken effect, and we're going to go over some recent news. We're also going to go over an upcoming catalyst, and I've talked about this before, but this is the flip of GBTC and BlackRock's IBIT. We'll look at how far they are from flipping in this video. I do think that's an upcoming catalyst that will breathe a sigh of relief for the market. We also have an article going over the Bitcoin miners and AI. I do suspect we will see more of these Bitcoin miners getting into AI, branching into AI. That might give the miners that get into AI a little more staying power as we approach crypto winter. And we also have an update for creditors for Mt. Gox. This might bring some incoming selling pressure for Bitcoin. But let's talk about all that and more. If you guys get something useful out of this video, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Definitely helps my channel out and I do appreciate it. And consider checking out the links down below for some free stocks and cryptos. And let's take a look at Bitcoin. Now I'm super zoomed in here on the 5-minute chart, but you'll see that we're looking at a little bit of an RSI divergence. You're seeing higher lows on Bitcoin's price and lower lows on the RSI, and this has actually been coming down as I started this video, so we might start seeing Bitcoin pull back a little bit here. Now looking at the 1 hour, zooming out just a little bit here, you'll see that we are creating higher lows and higher highs. We're now back to where we were at the middle of this month. I do think the next level to watch out for a break is going to be the 66,500. This was our previous resistance here, and we are finding resistance on it here. And also you'll see this yellow ascending support line. We have broken under it before, but we were quick to recover. So keep an eye on this general direction. We did flip and find it as resistance before flipping back, finding it as support, and now we're back under it. So we might find it as resistance again, potentially head down to the 50 MA that we did find previously as support here a couple of days ago. To me, Bitcoin is looking good. We have definitely cooled down from our recent run all the way up to new all-time highs. I do think this is a buying opportunity. This is a dip buy opportunity. I personally don't see Bitcoin falling drastically lower. And we're about to see the effect of these Bitcoin spot ETFs now that we are past the halving. Now that there's only 450 Bitcoin issued per day rather than the 900 that we saw previously. So essentially, as long as the demand for Bitcoin reaches 27 million per day, the market's going to eat up all the Bitcoin issued per day. $27 million is not a lot of new Bitcoin per day. I'm getting ahead of myself here, but the countdown has now begun for the upcoming halving in 2028. We are only 1,433 days away. I just want to remind you guys that these halvings will always continue with Bitcoin. Every 4 years, the daily issuance of Bitcoin gets cut in half. This has historically always brought huge upside on the price for Bitcoin after the halving. Now I want to talk about Mt. Gox. This was an old crypto exchange. Some of you might have never heard of it, but this was at one point the largest crypto exchange for Bitcoin. Mt. Gox is expected to pay its creditors 142,000 Bitcoin. But according to the Mt. Gox balance bot, the current balance of all known addresses of the Mt. Gox trustee for Bitcoin is 137,000 Bitcoin. It's still a lot of Bitcoin that the market would have to eat up if it was all sold, but this will likely happen over time. You never know, some people might hold on to their Bitcoin and not decide to sell it, but this may present us with some future buying opportunities as creditors potentially sell their Bitcoin that they finally unlock through Mt. Gox. I also want to talk about something very interesting, and it's something we've been seeing with the Bitcoin miners, this branch into AI. I do think it's a natural step for the Bitcoin miners. I mean, they have access to all this energy, they have access to the software, the infrastructure. To me, it does make sense. And like I said earlier, you know, this might give the miners that decide to go into AI some staying power. It might give them some strength as we approach the future crypto winter. They have another revenue source backing them up rather than just Bitcoin mining production. Having another revenue source for a Bitcoin miner, I think, is huge. CoinShares notes that mining companies like BitDigital, I love BitDigital, Hive, Hut8 are already generating income from AI. Also, TeraWolf and Core Scientific have existing AI operations or plans to grow in the space. Also, Iris Energy, IREN, is another one that's an AI service provider. Another Bitcoin miner that I do hold and I am bullish on. This article also goes over the cost to mine Bitcoin. The weighted average cash cost of production in Q4 was approximately $29,500. Post-halving, it's projected to be about $53,000. The average electricity cost of production in the Q4 was about $16,300 per Bitcoin, which is expected to increase to around $34,900 per Bitcoin post-halving. So the average cash cost production for Bitcoin is $53,000 post-halving. We are well over $53,000. As I've said before, we're going to see a lot of these Bitcoin miners posting huge profitability throughout this cycle. And one profitable Bitcoin miner that posted a profitable quarter last earnings expects another profitable quarter in the upcoming earnings is CleanSpark. Keep an eye on this general direction. Watch for a break of structure. If we break this trend, we might start pulling back. Now let me zoom out a little bit more and show you guys that we have broken our downtrend structure. You see this clear downtrend, this clear descending channel. Once we broke out of that, you saw a new change in direction, a new trend. This does look kind of wedge-ish to me, if that's a word, and we may be in for a break of this pattern. Typically, a rising wedge is bearish. We might come down, retrace, head towards our moving averages, test our previous low points here. But for now, CleanSpark's looking good, creating new higher highs and higher lows. Zooming out even more to give you guys a bigger, clearer picture, you'll see that we've been in an overall bullish uptrend. There are going to be pullbacks along the way. There are going to be rips along the way. You know, these miners are still priced so cheap in my opinion. Many are down 50-60%. To me, the market was pricing in the halving. Now that we're past the halving, I do think the miners can run. Remember, the market is forwards looking. CleanSpark now is only down 27% from its recent 52-week highs. It's definitely been looking a lot better recently. And to me, CleanSpark is still a buying opportunity. We're still riding our golden cross that was set months ago. I do think we're not going to see a death cross until probably in 2025. I do think we have a lot of room to continue running. We're now back over the 50 MA. We're still riding far above the 200 MA. They are in a bullish order. They are both trending upwards. They are both pointing upwards. I do expect the rally to continue. Now, I want to remind you guys that GBTC and IBIT are right around 2 billion from flipping. Just a little bit over that. I do think we're going to start seeing articles flowing around. Once they get under 2 billion from each other, there will be articles covering that left and right. And as we get closer and closer to seeing these flip, we're going to see more and more news coverage. There's going to be more awareness of it. But I do think this is the next big catalyst for Bitcoin, for the market. Seeing GBTC being flipped by IBIT. I do think we're only a few weeks from that. Now, GBTC sitting at 19.6 billion assets under management, and IBIT is now sitting at 17.5 billion. They're just a little over 2 billion away from flipping. Only a little over a week ago, it feels like, maybe 2 weeks ago now, they were at 3 billion away. In the coming weeks, we will see these flip, and I do think this is going to be a huge positive when the market sees it, when we finally do see them flip. To me, now is the time to still be very bullish on the Bitcoin miners. They're still down massively despite a couple decent days recently, and I do think they're still screaming buy. Now, if you don't want to rack your brain and decide which you think is the best miner to buy, I do think WGMI is a great way to go. It's a Bitcoin mining ETF. I've talked about it before, but I do think it's a really good way to get some exposure to the space. You could always also just choose the miners you like and also go with WGMI just for some increased exposure. But let me know how you guys are playing this Bitcoin cycle. Are you buying into leveraged Bitcoin ETFs? Are you buying into WGMI, the mining ETF? Are you handpicking the miners yourself? Are you shorting the miners? Let me know what you're doing down below. Thanks as always, guys, and I'll see you next time.